friends. I am very sorry not to be with you in person again this week, but it does give me the opportunity to record my sermon in front of this lovely print of Liz Wanger's embroidery artwork entitled "For God So Loved the World," which feels very appropriate on this Sunday when we remember and imagine God's embrace. I was introduced to Liz Wanger's art and this piece in particular while I was at seminary. And I think maybe even in the midst of a very dark period of depression at seminary. I was lucky to have access to free spiritual direction and pastoral counseling, to reduced cost psychiatric appointments and medication at that time. But I still felt stuck. And then I got connected with a woman who was practicing Gestalt pastoral care. Gestalt pastoral care, or GPC, is a hybrid, a combo, a relatively new kind of ministry which incorporates insights about growth work from Gestalt psychotherapy with healing prayer and spiritual companioning practices. It began in the 1970s as God led Tilda Norberg, who was trained as both a Gestalt therapist and as a minister and chaplain, as he led her through dreams and intuitions and promptings to bring together her different skills, the different worlds in which she was operating. And this movement has grown as other clergy and therapists and spiritual directors and people in other arenas have come to Tilda to be trained and begun to incorporate her insights and her developed work into their own work. This perspective has continued to spread. At the heart of GPC is this belief that the Holy Spirit is always and continually at work in each of us and all of us, at work calling us, pushing us, drawing us, inviting us toward wholeness. And so if we can enter into the process, clearing the stream, so to speak, of impediments and blockages, we can get out of the way of God's already ongoing work and trust that we are being led to the particular kind of healing and wholeness that God wills for us. So my encounter with GPC while in seminary 15 years ago was a key factor in my healing journey, in my emergence from that dark depression. And it's been a dream for me for all of this time that I might deepen and develop that engagement with GPC. So it's been a dream come true to begin my Gestalt pastoral care training this fall. Now, one aspect of GPC that I want to try to explain to you is work with experiments. These experiments can allow a person to listen to the wisdom of the body, to explore their inner worlds, to enable the reliving of memories, and thus to invite discovery and deepen awareness to new reactions and invitations to changes in behavior. Experiments in GPC work incorporate someone's words, their posture, their tone of voice, their gestures that are happening right now in the moment. A guide or GPC minister might suggest that someone repeat or exaggerate a phrase that they have spoken or a movement that they've made. In my experience, many experiments involve imagination. Talking to another person that maybe you've begun talking about, but imagining that person sitting on a pillow, for instance, in front of or next to you and speaking directly to them, and maybe even imagining what they might speak back. It could be another person, it could be another voice or part of myself that needs to be embodied and to hear and converse with myself, or an embodied feeling or part of my body, as if it were sitting on the pillow and engaging in conversation. Another thing to know about GPC is that it can happen one-on-one someone seeking healing, often called the worker in our field, and someone who coming to a minister or a guide for private sessions. It can happen that way. But Tilda and other GPC ministers also frequently offer groups called Opening to Grace workshops or retreats over weekends usually, where participants do their work with the guide, supported by a group of observer intercessors. In groups, I have participated in experiences helping someone to feel all that was holding them back by pulling on a loaded backpack that person was wearing. I have represented the burden someone felt they were carrying by pressing onto the person's shoulders hard until I was told to get off and release that weight and pressure. In the gospel reading from Luke today, we hear John the Baptist's message to prepare the way of the Lord, to make straight paths so that God's work of leveling and smoothing and demonstrating salvation might occur. At John's birth, a few chapters earlier in Luke, his father Zechariah sang of God looking favorably upon the people and redeeming them, remembering and showing mercy. He says, so that the dawn from on high will break upon us to give light to those who sit in darkness and the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. In Paul's letter to the church at Philippi, Paul notes that all of the fellow believers are sharing in the gospel, that the one who began a good work among you will bring it to completion. Do you hear how GPC, as I've explained it to you briefly this morning, echoes these ancient texts? The affirmation that God is at work, that redemption, salvation, healing, a movement toward wholeness has begun, and that it is ongoing. And the call from John, from Paul, even from Zechariah to notice, to pay attention, and an invitation to get involved. I am very excited to be in Gestalt Pastoral Care training because I have been interested for so very long. But I'm also excited because I believe that there is a need for healing in our world, in our community, right here and now. And I think that GPC offers a unique and transformative ministry to promote God's healing work in the world. I pray that God will use me to embody and demonstrate God's healing embrace. I pray this for each of you as well, that the work where you are, whether you're employed for payment, whether you're volunteering, whether you feel very limited, that what you are called to do each day is a way that you are embodying God's ongoing call towards healing and wholeness for yourself and for the world around us.